Good evening, guys. Welcome to Awkward Teenage Years. I am your host tonight, Grant Bowen. By a round of applause, how many of you have been to our show before? Okay, how many of you, this is your first time? What a night you chose to come. That's insane. Well, we appreciate you so much for being here. Just to give you a little brief in case you were confused as to what you walked into. This is a live storytelling show. We've got a terrific lineup of four great storytellers here for you tonight. And they are going to share true personal stories from their middle school and high school years. And these always are stories that cover things like first dates, first cars, passing the test, making the team, getting in the school play, and most importantly of all, coming of age. We've been doing this show since 2020, and it's always been a lot of fun. Thank you. Lauren, our tech wizard, everybody. But yeah, we appreciate you being here tonight. It's going to be a great time. I'm going to ramble for a little bit as our latecomers arrive. Since so many of you are here for the first time, I apologize because I'm going to open the show the way we normally don't. Because normally, Will or I would come up here and we'd kick off the night with a little anecdote or a short story or a little monologue about our own teenage years, just to kind of set the mood and everything. But I feel like there is an elephant in the room we have to address. We have, again, four terrific storytellers here for you tonight, and they deserve your full attention and your time. And so I think the best thing I can do to kick off the show is to just rip the Band-Aid off and address it. Last night did not go well. Today has sucked. It's been very disheartening and depressing to think that there is a large portion of the country that either wanted this, that did not see this as a deal breaker, or when given the choice between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, just chose to stay home. It's very upsetting to kind of sit here today and reckon with that. And I acknowledge that it's pretty difficult. I have felt depressed today, but I have also felt, I will admit, I have felt a weird sense of calm. And do not get mistaken, I woke up at 1 a.m. thinking I was having a heart attack, so it's not like there was no anxiety. But I think what it is a sense of resilience. Because I'm at a point where it's hard to have faith in the American government right now. It's hard to have faith in the rest of the country. But I do have faith in us. Like one thing, I've been doing storytelling shows since 2019. And the thing I have always appreciated about doing these shows is that it has become a space to nurture empathy and create connection, and for people to come together as a community. When you see people come up here and share things about their lives, sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're serious and thought-provoking and everything, you get a sense of a walk of life that is different from your own. And I think what I have is a faith that we can endure because of that empathy and that connection and that community, and that is going to be the key for that going forward. This is going to be a time where a lot of things are going to come down the pike. I'm not going to go into the worst case scenarios because I'm sure you've all been doing that all day. You're in like a black box theater here to see a storytelling show. I think I know how you voted. But this is going to be a time where you check on your neighbors, you donate if you can, you take to the streets if it's safe. If you have a relative or a friend in another state who needs an abortion, is fearing deportation, fears for their life, you let them crash on your couch or your air mattress at home. That's kind of what it's going to take. And I think we can do that for 2 years so that we can show up at the midterms and take Congress back. And I think if we can do that for 4 years to make a statement and clear our system of this mess. So I have faith in all of us as people, and we appreciate you being here tonight. So if you will, with me just now, just take a deep breath. And we are going to make tonight about empathy and connection and community. And we're so happy that you're here. Are you ready to hear some stories? Thank you guys so much. And now, another white guy. Our first storyteller of the night is currently touring his solo show, which he took to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. 3 kidneys, no colon.
That's not me.
What was that? Oh, that's me. That was supposed to be up there when I was giving you my very serious monologue, which might have helped you digest it a little more. So we can keep going. Okay, great.
You were being so serious, Grant.
It's been a day. Our first storyteller of the night is touring his solo show, 3 Kidneys, No Colon, which he took to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Give it up for Dave Piontkowski.
Yeah, look at that guy. That is my high school graduation photo, okay? Yeah, I'm gonna take you back to the year 1999, okay? So I'm in high school, and I'm running late to an assembly. My teacher, she's like, David, come on, you gotta get going. I'm like, just give me a second. I'm going to get my gum. And then she gets really serious, and she goes, you know, I'm gonna have to report you for that. And I'm confused. I'm like, oh, report me. Turns out what she heard was, I'm going to get my gun. This was also May 1999, a few weeks after the Columbine massacre. So the teachers are on edge. And I mean, look at this guy. This is a school shooter kind of face. I have the short haircut. I wore a lot of heavy metal t-shirts like Metallica, Linkin Park. I mean, I gave off the vibes. I definitely gave off the like incel vibes. So I understood it. But at the time, I don't know what's happening. She just tells me she's gonna report me. I'm like, oh, for being late to an assembly? Okay, whatever. You know, and I figured this teacher, let's call her Miss B for the sake of the story. So Miss B already does not like me. So I'm thinking, Miss B doesn't like me. It's fine. It's okay. And I'm just going to move on with my day. Whatever happened, I don't know what she's reporting me for, but I go on with my day and I don't really think much of it. And then I get pulled out of a later class and they bring me to the office. And I'm sitting in the office and nobody's telling me why I'm there. They're just telling me, look, you're in trouble and you're going to have to stay here. And a half hour goes by and I'm like, guys, I got to use the bathroom. I got to pee. And they go, yeah, well, we don't have anyone to escort you to the bathroom and you're going to have to stay here because you're in serious trouble. And I'm still sitting there like, I don't know what has happened. I don't understand the misunderstanding. It's not explained to me. After about 2 hours, I finally get into the principal's office. And sitting in the office, it is Miss B, it's the guidance counselor, it's the principal, and then sitting on the other side is my mom and my dad. My mom and dad work over an hour away from where this is Long Island, New York, okay, just to set up the scene. My parents work over an hour away in like Suffolk County. This is Nassau County. They're driving back during their workday and they are pissed off. They are so pissed. Like, what the? My dad's an immigrant and he's just like, what the fuck did you do? What the fuck did you do? And then I'm like, I don't know. And he thinks I'm lying to him. He's like, you know what you did. You know it. And he's a workaholic. So the idea of him missing work is like really upsetting him. And I'm just thinking, okay, all right. And my mom is just like head in her hands. And I guess, I don't know how they got in there and I didn't see them. That was another weird thing. Like, I guess they came in a different way. I don't really know. But I'm sitting there. I have to pee very badly. And I said, okay, what's going on? Like, and they go, you said something to Miss B earlier, and I go, they go, do you remember what you said? And I go, I actually have no idea what I said. I have no clue. And they go, according to her, you said, I'm going to get my gun. And I go, oh. And immediately I think back and I go, oh. And I start reaching in my jacket pocket and think, I know. I know, but like I had my hands in the jacket pocket and I fish out like my gum and I go, do you mean gum? Holding up the gum, like a pack of Cinnaburst or whatever it was. And they're like, oh, so you said gum? I said, yeah, I said gum. And we all realize like it's a misunderstanding. And then it turns. Now my parents are pissed at the administration. Now my mom's like, you dragged us down from work for this? And my dad, he's pissed off. He's like, I drove an hour and a half for this fucking bullshit. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, guys, I've had to pee for like an hour right now. Can I go pee? And they're like, yes, yeah, you can go pee. And then as I'm getting up, my mom goes, I had just gotten diagnosed with kidney disease. That's my solo show's about that. Yeah. So just got diagnosed with kidney disease as a teenager. And I was like, so my mom starts reaming out the administration like, he has kidney disease and you didn't let him pee? You didn't let him use the bathroom? He has a medical condition. Like freaking out. I'm just like, I need to get out of here. So I go to the bathroom and I come back and they're still yelling. They're still yelling at the principal and the guidance counselor. And it's just awkwardness. It's so awkward. And like I get home and everybody's grilling me like, did you actually say I'm going to get my gun? Because I'm a wise ass. So they like just assume like class time, this guy's an asshole. He probably said gun. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, I said gun. But my brother still to this day does not believe me. My parents were so furious at me, but like it changed. And eventually like my mom she told me that while I was away from the room, she told them like when the Columbine shooting happened, how sad I was for the people who died, and that I was like very sympathetic to like what had happened, and that she doesn't think I would do something like this. I'm like, how are we even having this conversation? This is so crazy. I'm not as good. We didn't have a gun in our house. I don't have access to like firearms. It was just crazy, absolutely crazy. And then I have to go back to Miss B's class. I have to go back. And so it was so awkward that for the next 2 weeks, every time when I would go to the class, she wouldn't have me in the class because it was too awkward. She would hand me like the papers of like what the work was for class that day. And I would do them in a separate room because for the next 2 weeks, it was too awkward. Yeah, this is too awkward for us to sit in the same room and for her to teach me and for me to learn. And it was awkward for the remainder of the school year. And that is my awkward teenage story. Thank you.
Oh my God, I just cracked up at the thought of you just going, oh, you mean, and them going, that's amazing. Oh God, no, I definitely, I was too much of goody two shoes as a kid to be mistaken for school shooter vibes or anything like that. That actually, my goody two shoes-ness, I guess if you could call it that, came to a head in 6th grade when I went from the A honor roll to the AB honor roll and cried about it when I got home. And my parents had to be like, it's fine. You're okay. And I could imagine them in private being like, well, we broke that one. Let's try to lower the standards for the brothers here. One more time for Dave, everybody. All right, keeping the show moving along. Our next storyteller, she's on the improv team, or on a improv team at the Armory. What's the name of the team?
It's Syndicated.
Syndicated, okay. And is a teacher at Second City. Give it up for Carma Anderson.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So that's me. So in 7th grade, I had a really big butt. I didn't grow any boobs, but what I did have was a great ass. But I didn't know it because I was in 7th grade, and I went to school where, butts didn't matter. That school, I was the only black girl in the majority of 33 kids. Most of them were Jewish kids who had bar and bar mitzvahs during that time, and most of that just had people dancing like this. So it wasn't really necessary for you to really use your butt for those types of dances. And during the week, that was my persona. And then on the weekends, I had to go back home, and I was hanging out with my black friends. And so I'm from Brooklyn, and we grew up in a time where there were still parties to go to as a teenager. And one localized place that like Brooklyn people would know about was called Empire Skate Rink. It was not far from the Botanical Gardens. Now it is a storage facility, but it was this very old, I know, right? Doesn't that make sense? Storing my memories. So it had like this weird 60s vibe. Like if you could describe an area of, if I could use something to get you to understand, it's like a grandma couch with plastic over it. Like that is exactly what the area looked like. There was a middle area, so the people that couldn't really skate, but I guess there was nothing else to do back in the day, had to come, and then the big one for the people to kind of roll, bounce, whatever. By the time I got to middle school around like 2001, millennials up north don't skate. So that's just not something that we do. And what do you do with a skate rink that has yet to be made a storage facility? You turn it into a party. And so everybody could skate until 7:30, and then all the losers had to get off the rink, and then all the teenagers and preteens came so that they could dance. But they weren't doing this. They were doing like this. And I didn't do that. But my friends did. And so we used to be like a contest to make sure like how many, we call them dubs. If you're dancing on a guy, how many dubs could you get? I don't know what the prize was. I can tell you ahead of time I didn't win. Because I was very awkward about this. I didn't understand why we were at a skate rink. I didn't understand why there were no skates. I didn't understand why we were counting boys' little peepees on our booties. I didn't understand what I was going to get for that, and why are these my friends? So there were a lot of questions that I had, but I couldn't answer them because I just wasn't old enough. And this one particular time, fast forward, because I was introduced to this world in middle school. But when I went to high school, I went to public high school. And so this was the time. There were no more of these like Bruce Springsteen parties. Like you actually had to like do like, like there was a lot of reggae music, not the Steven Seagal reggae music, although that's a moment that I think we all bypassed. But no, like Sean Paul kind of things, and you had to kind of wind your waist. Now, on top of that, me being awkward, my family is very Southern American, and we don't whine unless you need something, and that's not the kind of whining that we were doing. And so I was very uncomfortable because I didn't know how to. So I had to learn how to do these things. So after I had, my homework was done, I had to study how to dance. Now, I knew how to dance, but I didn't know how to dance like that was appropriate. And it wasn't appropriate. I needed to be able to get groped, and I needed to make sure that I was going to get groped properly. So I had to make sure I had the moves. And so I used to watch a lot of MTV, a lot of BET, a lot of LimeWire downloads. Sorry to that hard drive. And I had to get with it. So this particular day, in 10th grade, I became like a regular here. I'm even on what's called the street team. So like I get people to come to the parties and I don't have to pay. So I'm outside like, hey, let's go, whatever. I've really changed. I've like blossomed into this booty popping butterfly. And I'm getting used to this being a normal thing, being touched, being groped. It's good. This is what you do at this age. That's what they told me. But there was always a point of no return in this very scary little skating rink where there was a lane. They had lockers. Obviously, nobody's using them because nobody's skating. But this was something that the boys, you had to go there to go to the bathroom or to get a drink. So this is a place where the boys would stand, but they wouldn't stand normal. They would stand like this. So you had no choice but to swipe your big ass on their peepees on the way to the bathroom. And I wasn't comfortable with this part because they didn't ask for my consent, right? I needed to go to the bathroom. I didn't need you to put your bathroom pieces on me. It's different when we're on the rink because I know what I'm getting into. I signed up for this. I paid my $5 for you to touch me all over. But when it's time to go to the bathroom, no, it's a no-go. And in this particular time, I had had enough. There was one boy, and he was just more further out than the rest of them. He almost was just like fully at a 90-degree angle. And I was uncomfortable because he also wasn't attractive. And that was the other part, right? So now I'm looking at this very obtuse angle, and I'm not comfortable. So I tell him, like, I'm not interested right now. He was like, what you mean, Ma, you're not interested right now? And I was like, young man, okay? I told you I'm not interested right now. Y'all always be playing, always be the pretty ones or whatever. So, then I was like, well, it's always the ugly ones that are touching you. So then his boys are like, oh, she got you, you ugly. So it was almost like they kind of already knew and wanted somebody else to build the Band-Aid off, and I did it. So, mazel. So, and anyway, they, he was real pissed, and he was, like, cursing me out, and I'm as laid back as I am right here. I really didn't care. I just needed to go to the bathroom, and that's what I did. So when I came back to the rink, it was like he thought he was doing something by, like, looking. So he's, like, looking at me like, I'm like, okay, well, this is weird. So his friend comes and dances with me, and he, like, tells me, like, yo, come here. And I'm like, well, you could go, because it's fine. I've already hit my quota. I got about 6 dubs today. I mean, it's not the highest, but I can get out of here with my head held high. But then I thought he starts whispering. So he comes over and is like, you're not going to play me. That's why I'm going to get all your girls. I was like, this is getting really crazy. Like, this is like a real, like, urban Romeo and Juliet. And I didn't sign up for any of it, right? None of it, and it got even more weird because I'm petty. So I'm petty, and I wasn't gonna let it stand. So obtuse angle begins to dance with my friend. Now, I created this system when we didn't want to dance with other boys that we could get out of it, like without any situation. So what I would do is I'd let them dance for a little while, and then one of us would come up and we would go, oh my God, girl, oh my God, Kiki's dead, girl, Kiki. And then she just would go like this. What happened, girl? She died. Don't you hear me? She's dead. She got shot, stabbed, strangled. Allergic reaction to shrimp, anything that was going to make sense. And so then after the second time, they have to go, oh my God, we gotta go. Like, Kiki, we gotta go. So that's what we used to do. So it had to be a whole production. So I definitely was about to pull out the secret weapon because he wasn't going to get one up on me, and he definitely wasn't going to dance on my friend. So I waited till he felt a little comfortable when I came up, And I'm like, oh my God. You know, Kiki, she died like 10 times, at least that year. But at this time, Kiki was dead. You know, I was like, we gotta go. She has been shot. We gotta go to all the hospitals. So she was like, okay, we gotta go, because we knew our code word. So he's like, no, Ma, you don't gotta go nowhere. Excuse me, young man. What are you talking about? No, this is my girl now. So now my friend is like, she's really appalled because he's ugly too. So she's really like, she wants to turn around, but then she's like, So I'm like, no, we're leaving. And the boy goes, well, you know, I seen you do this before. I was like, seen me do what? He's like, you always breaking up stuff. I said, are you watching me? He was like, yeah, I was watching you. I said, you gotta stop admitting to this weird shit. It's too much. It's really too much. There are a plethora of young women here. Some of them on your level, you know what I'm saying? But it's not us. And he was like, he took a step back. He said, do you really think that I'm ugly? And I felt bad because I really did. But I felt bad that he really felt bad that he didn't know that before. And this wasn't the time, you know. It's like, move, bitch, get out the way. It's like playing by, you know, around. And it's not the moment for the heart to heart, you know. Everybody's kind of like, oh no, the fights. And he's like, whoa. And I'm like, you know what? Let's move to the side. So I actually take him to the side and I go, okay, you may not be that ugly. He is. But you gotta fix how you approach women. This is not how you talk to girls. I know I was very mature for 16. I was raised by my father, so boys didn't bother me in that way. I just wanted to get home so I can learn a Napoleon Dynamite dance. That's where I was in my mind. Whatever was gonna get me out of here. So he was just like, I appreciate you talking to me because I wasn't really treating you right. And I was like, well, we're not together, so let's not get there. But you weren't the best. But I understand it's a lot of things. Your hormones are raging. And he was like, yeah, they talked about that in school. And then I realized he's dumb. So I said, you know what? I understand. You know what? If my friend wants to finish dancing with you, but we're going to go because our friend probably is bleeding out. And he's like, oh, that was real? He's dumb, right? And I had to keep with the thing. So he got the little dance, and we left. And all of a sudden, a slow song starts playing. I don't know, but I know it wasn't Mozart. So there was a slow song playing, and we kind of sashayed out. And on the way back, I saw him scream yo, Ma, you a real one. And I said, thanks, young man. And that was it. Thank you.
Oh my God. Mad respect for the Steven Seagal reggae reference, which, if you've never heard it, you should go look it up. Not because it's good, but because if we had to hurt, you should too. But no, it's funny. I grew up with there was a skating rink in my hometown. I'm from Gardendale, Alabama, originally, and there was a skating rink in my hometown that we'd go to as elementary school kids, and it was always a lot of fun then. And then of course you get older and you move on to other things. I come back home at one point while I'm in college, and I ask my brothers, I'm like, oh, right, do things still happen at the skating rink? And my brothers were like, oh yeah, they sell drugs there now. And I'm like, of course. Of course. Why should anything nice last? I don't know. One more time for Carma, everybody. All right. Before we go on with the show, I got a little housekeeping to do here. So maybe you've been watching the show, you've been having a great time, and some of you might be out there thinking, oh, you know what? That makes me think of something that happened to me when I was in high school, when I was in middle school. Maybe that's a story I could tell. we want to hear about it. We are actively looking for pitches for future shows. So if you want, send us a 2 or 3 sentence summary to awkwardteenageyears@gmail.com. We are actively checking. We have had people on the show. I mean, obviously we've had a great lineup of seasoned performers tonight, but we have also had people who have never told a story before in their lives, and we've helped coach them and get them ready to tell their story on stage. Again, awkwardteenageyears@gmail.com. Check it out. If you want to find out more about future shows that we've got coming up, we're on Instagram. We're on Threads, which is just Twitter on Instagram. And we're on Facebook. Look for us at Awkward Teenage Years. And also, like I said before, we've been doing this show since 2020. Will said earlier tonight. We started as a festival show whose final performance was on March 7th of 2020. That was a fun week. And then shortly after that, we became a live stream where we started having many illustrious guests on, and then once things started opening back up, we became at first a monthly and now a bi-monthly show here at Under St. Mark's. We've been going strong ever since. If you want to see our archive of past shows, you can go find us on YouTube. Just once again, search at Awkward Teenage Years. We've had a lot of great stories on here. Go check it out. Go subscribe. You won't regret it. And with that, are you guys ready for our final storyteller of the night? All right. Our final storyteller, I do not have my notes open. Here we go. Has appeared on the Moth main stage on Penn and Teller's Bullshit. She is everybody's favorite ex-nun, and she is returning to Awkward Teenage Years since our live stream days during lockdown. Please welcome Kelli Dunham.
Thank you so much. Keep it going for all the storytellers and the organizers. Thank you. When in the 80s, when other teenagers were, I don't know, doing cocaine, apparently getting invited to parties or not getting invited to parties, drinking Zima, and probably giving each other terrible blowjobs. That's not what I was doing. I was going to church 5 times a week. I was asking complete strangers on the bus if they had accepted Jesus Christ as their personal savior. And I wore a shirt for my senior picture that said, "No surfing in hell." I thought that was such a fucking clever shirt. It had this guy, and he's literally in hell, so I don't know. And he's saying, and then the caption is, "The lake of fire has no waves." And the guy's tongue is hanging out like this. And he's like, "Yo, where are all my friends to help me cool down?" And then it had not 1, but 2 Bible verses on it. It was a very, very busy shirt. And I love that shirt so much because it helped me witness to people without having to say a word. But believe me, I still said a lot of words. And I lived in Daytona Beach, Florida at that time, and so I would witness to the actual surfers on the 17A bus with my "No Surfing in Hell" t-shirt. So why? Why was I this person? If you look at me now, I looked exactly the same when I was 15. I just have more wrinkles, but literally, I mean, I have the same, except for, I was gonna say I have the same shirt, but I don't wear the Surfing in Hell shirt anymore. So why was I not out? Why was I witnessing to people on the bus? Well, all right, when I was 13, my dad was an atheist, and he died when I was 13. And then we lived in rural Wisconsin. And my mom, I'm the last of 5 or 7 kids, depending on how you're counting. And after being snowed in for 6 weekends in a row with all these children, my mom was like, oh, this is bullshit. And she met us at the end of the driveway with the station wagon already packed up, and she's like, we're moving to Florida. Which I did not understand at all then, and I kind of do understand now. But when we got to Florida, and we were like moving to the biggest city, we kept calling it the big city, Daytona Beach, Florida. So we moved to Daytona Beach, Florida, and it turned out that my mom was also moving to be with her new fiance, this guy who looked exactly like Captain Kangaroo. And when I say he looked like Captain Kangaroo, I don't mean a little. I don't mean like he just had the mustache. I don't mean like he even just had the little suit coat and a little, what was Captain Kangaroo's friend, the little rabbit or whatever. He looked just like Captain Kangaroo. And my mom told us we were not to call him Captain Kangaroo, which I think that's fair enough. Like that's, just good manners. But she also didn't want us to call him Captain Kangaroo when he wasn't around, which of course made us call him Captain Kangaroo all the time when we were around. And in fact, with such fervor that my little cousin, when we were going to, we're going on a trip, and he's like, well, is Uncle Captain Kangaroo coming with us? Like he thought it was his real name. Okay. All right. So Captain Kangaroo he'd been through a lot in his life, and so my mom really wanted to go to a regular church, but Captain Kangaroo only wanted to go to the drive-in Christian church. The drive-in Christian church, this is way before COVID, right? This is the 80s. The drive-in Christian church only exists because Florida is Florida, right? You need good weather and you need Florida. Florida to keep being Florida. So it's just a converted drive-in. It's not even converted. It's just a drive-in theater that they put a cross up, and then you drive in, and they hand you in a little Dixie cup a little bit of grape juice, of course, and a little wafer, and you go in, and they put the sound in your car, and then you just worship that way, right? So it's every bit as random and strange as I've made it sound. Anyway, so Captain Kangaroo would not go into a walk-in church. He would only go into a drive-in church, right? And he also, every morning, he would talk to us about his dreams. And his dreams were about demons coming to him in negligee. And as it turned out, the demons also had his mother's face. So we were not like worldly enough to know that like this is actually a really bad sign and he'd really been through some shit. For us, it just made breakfast table conversation extremely awkward. I can't really think of a response to that. Anyway, he and my mom were married about a year. He would often leave in the middle of the night because the demons in negligee were chasing him. And so you can see why this like born-again Christian lifestyle, like going to this little tiny Christian school that my mom sent me to with the hopes that, I would stop looking like this. I embraced born-again Christianity because I just wanted some kind of structure, right, in my life. And then it also gave me a reason to run out of the house, to get out of negligee conversations, like, I have to go to prayer meeting. Okay, bye. So I kind of can understand what I was looking for. I mean, I even helped start a puppet ministry. Do you think there's anything more? You thought I was obnoxious. You were hating me when you thought I was well, I did, just not to you all. When I was witnessing to strangers on the bus. Can you imagine how much more annoying that would be with a puppet? Although when we were learning puppets, the people that taught us about puppet ministry, which I bet you didn't even know, that was something you need to learn about, they said, but never have the puppets bow their head and accept Jesus Christ as their savior, because, they explained, puppets don't have souls. Because that was the only part of that didn't make sense, right? Anyway, so at some point, my older sister and her husband, he was a pastor at that time, my mom had just been going through it, and she kept saying she was going to break up with him and then not break up with him, and it was all just so tumultuous. And so they showed up one Sunday afternoon with a legal pad Like my sister was like 24, 25. And on it was a whole list of reasons that my mom had to divorce Captain Kangaroo, right? And really, the biggest reason was that he was possessed by demons. That was the biggest reason. And how they knew this was that he would only go to the driving Christian church, right? Because, hell is not stronger than the metal of an Oldsmobile, for sure, right? So I can remember just looking across the table at my sister, and we were kind of like, any reason would probably be good at this time. And she did get divorced. The people at that little Christian school were actually, despite the fact that in my senior year they made a dress code. So first of all, they wouldn't let the boys wear parachute pants because they said it contributed to bacteria growing on the skin, which is really just a weird way of saying that boys get boners and then you can see them in the parachute pants, right? But when I was a senior, they made a dress code rule that girls couldn't wear flannel shirts over T-shirts, which obviously was just about me, right? Because that was not a sin against God, but it certainly was a sin against fashion. Anyway, so the people who were nicest to me at Warner Christian Academy also went to this little Bible college. And so when I graduated when I was 17, and so I went to Bible college. My first year at Bible college, the whole thing was it was like full of horny teenagers, but also like all teenagers, but they were teenagers that believed that you had to be married to have sex. So everyone was trying to date to find the spouse God chose for them, right? So they could, and I did the same. And I met this nice guy from the Panhandle of Oklahoma, and he lived in an abandoned nursing home. That's where his dad lived. And if you don't understand why somebody would abandon a nursing home, you've never been to the Panhandle of Oklahoma. Anyway, he was so sweet. He did not pressure me to have sex because we weren't married yet, even though we were engaged. And so at some point, we were apparently kind of like anything but a penis and a vagina would be okay, anything other than that. And so we went parking in his car in a cornfield, of course, and he went down on me. And I had not ever masturbated, and so I wasn't familiar with the feeling of an orgasm. So he went down on me. I came for the first time. And then the next day, I masturbated for like 36 hours straight. It's like, I think I can do this myself. And then I broke up with him. So the story should go, and then I figured out I was queer, and I came out, but there's actually 10 years more of that. And it makes me kind of angry that I wasted my whole 20s. But then there was somebody who left Warner Christian Academy in their freshman year. And pre-internet, when people just left you, they just disappeared from your life. You never heard of them again. But thank you very much, Facebook. We got back in touch, and I saw her, and she told me the story. She has 4 kids already, and the story was that she came out to her parents when she was her born-again Christian parents when she was in 9th grade, and they were so mean to her that when they moved, she intentionally got pregnant just to prove that she was straight. And so she spent her teenagerhood not just asking total strangers if they accepted Jesus Christ as their personal savior, but also having to raise a baby. And so when I thought about that, I realized, you know what? For me, Christianity was kind of my drag, I did what I needed to do to be here now as I am. Thank you. So I have a little merch tonight, and actually I have this merch. It's I have a one-person show that's about learning how to accept help, and so they say accepting help is hot, or let people help you. People like to help with a little Lego man that stands on it. And if you want to buy one of these, in January, I'm doing a walk across Florida. I'm running storytelling workshops for trans kids, and I'm also going to non-affirming churches and having conversations with them, like, I am inviting myself to meet with them. So anyway, I'm doing that. So anything you donate for one of these, that's what it's going to go towards. So thank you.
So I'm going to Florida with my in-laws at the beginning of December. And I'm telling my wife, we're going to look for that drive-in church. For sure. Oh, I bet. Guys, that's our show tonight. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Give it up one more time for Dave, Carma, Becky, Kelly. Give it up for our tech wizard, Lauren, in the booth. Give it up for the staff here at Frigid. And give it up for yourselves for coming out tonight. Thank you guys so much. We will be back in January 2025. New year, new show. It's going to be great. We hope to see you there. Thank you guys so much again for coming out tonight.